Alright guys, I'm back talking about training principles again. Last video was on progressive overload, so give that a watch if you haven't seen it yet. But today I'm going to be talking about another really important training principle, which is specificity. Okay, so just to recap on training principles, a training principle is something that has to be implemented as part of a training program if we are going to see results. Certainly once we get past the stage of our first few weeks or months in the gym, these become really important. So specificity might seem like a foreign term, but a lot of people will probably have heard this phrase before. You get good at what you do. So that is basically what specificity means. If you want to get good at any kind of physical task, whether it's a sport, whether it's an exercise of some kind, a competitive event, you have to be training with that event or goal or exercise in mind. Okay? The training has to reflect it. It has to be specific to it. So, in order to create a specific training plan, we have to have a goal to train for. Alright? So first off is that we have to set a goal. Now, what are the criteria that the goal has to meet? Well, first of all, the goal has to be clear. Okay? So, to use an example, let's say that we're starting off strength training and we want to increase our leg strength. Alright? There's nothing wrong with that as a goal, but it's not very clear. It's very difficult to know if your leg strength is going up if you don't have a specific way of measuring that, okay? So, in order for the goal to be clear, we're going to say that our measure of leg strength is going to be the back squat, okay? So we're trying to improve the strength in our back squat. Alright, so now it's a clear goal, but we have to be able to measure the goal. This is so that we can measure if we are progressing and if we're on track, and we also have to know what the target is, what the end goal is. Alright, so let's say that currently we can do 60 kilos for 1 rep, and by the time that we're finished training, we want to be able to do 100 kilos for 1 rep. Okay? So now we have a clear goal and we know how to measure it. We have the weight on the bar in kilograms and the number of reps. Okay? Lastly, and probably the aspect of this that people overlook the most, is the goal has to be attainable. Another way of phrasing this would be that the goal has to be realistic. Okay? So, if we're a beginner, a 40 kg increase on our 1 rep max squat actually isn't a completely unrealistic goal, especially if we say that we're going to give ourselves about 3 months to get up there, okay? 3, maybe 4 months, depending on how good all your stuff outside the gym is, like sleep and food, etc., okay? But let's say the beginner came in and said, I want to squat 200 kilos for 1 rep. Is that an unrealistic goal? Well, if you're going to give yourself 3 years and you're going to eat and sleep really well and you're going to follow a training plan consistently and be extremely dedicated, yeah, that probably is a realistic goal for some people. But if you said that you needed to do that in 2 months, that's just not going to happen. Okay? So, in order to make it realistic, we have to have a timeline that we can attain this in, and we need to make sure that all of the things that support our training, like food, sleep, etc., are in place. Okay, so a good nutrition plan will give ourselves, let's say, 3 months to work up to this. Alright? So, all of that stuff being said, some final things that need to be discussed with regards to specificity. So, the training that we then create for the goal has to be specific to it, okay? So, if we're going to train to increase our squat, we're probably going to want to squat. A really good example of this was a few years ago I was training in a gym and I was training my own squat and a personal trainer who worked at the gym saw that I was getting some decent strength gains, and he was kind of getting frustrated. So he came up to me and asked me, what are you doing for your squat? I said, I'm squatting. What are you doing for your squat? And so he ran me through his training program. I said, how many times are you squatting per week? So he said, well, on Monday I do split squats, on Wednesday I do front squats, and on Fridays I do hack squats. He sort of then realized the stupidity of this training program, and realized that he had to be squatting in order to see results. Okay? Now, one thing that we have to remember is not to take this to the extreme. Okay? So that means that just because the training has to be specific to the goal, that does not mean that we're trying to exactly replicate the goal. Okay? So if we're trying to increase our 1 rep max squat, is it a good idea to go in every single day and just do a 1 rep max on the squat? Probably not. You're probably going to get injured doing that. If you're trying to improve your marathon time, you shouldn't go out and run a marathon every single day. Another place where this gets massively misinterpreted is in the sporting world. Okay, so if you're trying to get better at a sport, your training should be to support building up your physical capacity. You're not trying to make all the gym training look exactly like your sport training. So weighted boxing gloves, weighted balls, it's not a good idea for trying to get stronger, fitter, faster, more powerful, etc. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I'm going to be making more training principle videos in the future, as well as more just general videos on things strength, fitness, training related. So if you enjoyed and you want to see more, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and feel free to leave any comments down below.